Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the MedTech Impact Podcast, where you get to hear from leaders and innovators who are shaping the future of medical technology. I'm Kyle Cruz.
And I'm Richard Meiklejohn.
And we're your hosts of the show.
Kyle, before we get started, I wanted to quickly look ahead to a phenomenal medical device event coming up in September. Med Device Boston, formerly Biomed Device Boston, one of the leading gatherings for medical technology innovation, is happening on September 25th and 26th at the Boston Convention and Exhibition Center. You know, I'm excited because this means 2 action-packed days of cutting-edge demos, expert presentations, and a host of networking opportunities. This is definitely a fantastic way to discover the latest advancements in medical devices, from the groundbreaking technologies we discuss here on the show to the innovative materials that make it all possible. And a special highlight, which I'm sure the listeners like us will absolutely love, the Wednesday evening reception will see the return of some Oktoberfest style fun and the legendary Stein holding contest. So if you want to join us, then be sure to head over to the registration page, use the code IMPACT in all caps to get your very own free Expo Pass, as well as a nice 20% discount on your conference registration fee. I'm excited again to connect with a host of industry leaders and innovators September 25th and 26th, Med Device Boston. Hope to see you there. So today on the MedTech Impact Podcast, we're delighted to be joined by Adam Kirchgessner, VP of Sales at SmartCardia. Adam, welcome to the show.
Hey, pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, well, it's a pleasure to have you on. I think you've got a really cool story through the medtech industry that we can touch on later on. And so happy to have you come on and share that story. But clearly, we want to know more about SmartCardia. So let's set the stage for everyone, Adam. What is that big problem that SmartCardia is looking to solve?
Yeah, I love it. Thanks. So at SmartCardia, we're a 7-lead ECG patch that also provides remote patient monitoring via vital sign collection. So, there's many the ECG patch spaces is super duper flooded, and I've got a long history with knowing the ins and outs of them and helping commercialize a couple of them. But it's ultimately, we're trying to solve almost all of those problems rolled into one, whether it be the ECG market and the cardiac patch market, or the remote patient monitoring market, or the hospital at home continuum care piece. We have a solution that kind of provides all of that. And, we're very excited about our technology. And I want to thank you for having me on. I guess I'm not your typical guest. I'm not a founder, I'm not a CEO, hopefully someday, but ultimately I'm an energetic sales guy who's pretty dang pumped up about our technology. So I think that's why I was gravitated to you, Kyle, when we met at HRS.
Absolutely, Adam. No, it's awesome, man. I think it's really neat. To Richard's point, I think we'll kind of get into more about your background because, don't discount yourself by any means. You've been a part of some really incredible, innovative technologies. But yeah, let's talk a little bit more about the SmartCardia solution here. Obviously you mentioned the 7-point EKG. And there's all these types of monitoring technologies out there. So, what is it about your solution, your device? Tell us a little bit more about how the product works and what is it that makes it, unique, amongst all the other types of products in the market today.
Yeah. So when we talk about a single lead or 7-lead, if we go back in time, if you go to get a general checkup and you're going to get an EKG done or a Holter done or whatever, they put a bunch of electrodes on you and there's wires everywhere. And the biggest player in the space is a company called arrhythmias. And I'm so grateful that they came along with great technology about 10, 15 years ago. And they made a single lead wireless patch. So all it is basically a Band-Aid that goes on your chest and collects data and has no wires. And then after the patient's done with it, they collect the data and upload the data. And then they make a report and the doctor can go, oh, we got AFib, we don't have AFib. And everyone's like, awesome. Thank God we don't got to deal with these wires or these Holters. And as technology goes along, you think products advance, and sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, and that's what gravitated me towards Barty when I was there. We could touch on that a little bit more, but they took the iRhythm Zeo patch platform and advanced on that. They filtered out noise and they became a P-wave centric one. So they could start diagnosing more complex arrhythmias and really set the bar a little bit higher. But if we look at the patch space in general, whether it's Holters, extended Holters, events, MCT, and you're getting live data, they all come down to the fact that they get one lead. So that's one view of the heart. So you're basically trusting that one source of data. The way that our technology works is we have a 7-lead product. So why 7 leads is better than that. So we're going to get a little better view of the heart. So we can still be used as a single lead, but we're not only just diagnosing, first of all, the arrhythmic problem. So you want to confirm via multiple leads that what you're seeing in that one lead is actually true. So you want to confirm that with the other views. But what these other views do, so if you're in an ambulance and you're having a heart attack, they put you up to what's the standard of care is called a 12 lead. And the doctor is remotely looking at your data and going, oh, Richard's having a heart attack. They're calling it STEMI, activate the STEMI crew, and they send the technicians in the lab, and they can diagnose or not diagnose whether you're having a heart attack in that moment. Those are things that you cannot do with a single lead device. It's just simply, you're not going to get the different views and vectors of the heart to be able to diagnose certain things. So what we're excited about our technology, just from an arrhythmic and ECG standpoint, is that not only are we going to be able to diagnose those arrhythmic problems, but those ischemic heart plumbing problems, if you will, as well. And then combine that on that is that everyone else is limited to simply ECG, data set points. So, are we having an arrhythmia or not? The unique way that our sensor is created is that in addition to all that, we can start doing remote patient monitoring. So SpO2, respiration, activity, all kinds of different, metrics that are important to doctors that we can start diagnosing and kind of jump into a number of adjacent markets, whether it be heart failure, sleep apnea, hypertension, many different avenues. And we're excited about it all. But I mean, I think really we're trying to, harness all of those problems and solve them all in one seamlessly data streaming platform. In addition, managing that on the back end with our software, but I don't want to bore you guys with all that. We can
Well, hey, for the everyday listener out there, to
Yeah.
folks that might not be so, just involved like you are in this industry, in the space, what about my Apple Watch? What about Massimo? What about these technologies, these rings that people put on their fingers, right? There's all these monitoring technologies, like, how does your products kind of, I guess, like fit, or work with
Yep.
theirs or against theirs? Like, what is it, because it just seems like, if I can wear a watch, or a ring or something, I think that's pretty cool, but it might not have that capability, I guess, maybe that your patch has.
Yeah, well, and I mean, number one, the capability of doing it, but why are you doing it? So the Apple Watch is cool. I love it too. I play around with checking my ECG all the time. But anybody in our world, anybody at iRhythm, Barty, SmartCardia will know that the rhythm strip you get from your Apple Watch is garbage. It's enough to kind of get you to your doctor's office, and then the doctor rolls his eyes and goes, Kyle, this is nothing. Stop listening to your dang Apple Watch. Trust me. So it ends up creating, it brings more patients to the yard, right? Yeah. So in theory, it would drive elevation, but unfortunately, it's driving the wrong type of patient. Yeah. It's patient those worried well patients. They're the hypochondriac patients. So an ECG from your limb lead, essentially your watch, is poor. The same thing with an Aura. They're enough to get in there and be technically classified as whatever modality they're doing, but why not harness them all in one at an extremely high level? So, if you look at a lot of the monitors out there, we don't want to just be an ECG Me Too product. We want to be the best. We want to, and not just from we want to master that from every perspective. I want to go to a doctor and say, man, I really can filter out noise, and I really can be the best at arrhythmia detection in a unique manner. Because there's, with iRhythm, they're great. They've done a great job. Their reporting is great, and they are essentially the Kleenex of our industry, right? So for a doctor to change their mind about how they're actually practicing care, it really needs to be such a superior product that they have to go, oh yeah, I am willing to go through all that work of changing our workflow, getting our nurses trained on how to do that, implementing everything at these 45 hospitals within our network that we've done, change the billing models, change our workflow. I mean, it's a huge act of Congress. And at Barty, we really struggle with that because we were better, but not quite better to win over every health system. That's what we're really trying to accomplish, is not only from a 7-lead ECG component, we want to really, harness all the other remote patient monitoring vitals. So it really isn't an overwhelming, like, no-brainer of oh yeah, I can't miss this. I have to do that. And that's really kind of we're hoping is going to set us apart.
Well, Adam, you said the word exciting, and honestly, my heart's pumping listening to all this, because it's really cool to hear about all the opportunities, and it kind of makes me think you're clearly collecting a lot of great data. So what's
Yep.
happening with all this data you're collecting?
Well, I mean, first of all, that's a big thing. Everyone goes, oh, we got AI, we got machine learning, and sometimes it's just a buzzword to generate, marketing or, have a cool slide or something like that, right? Like, what do you actually do with it? And, we've already, I think what's really great about our CEO, Srini Vasan-Morali, who, created our technology, and we can talk about him a little bit later, but, they created the platform and the software associated with it before they really harnessed the device piece. So why that's important is, building the algorithms, building a unique platform that can be streamlined into any other data set. So like, the data comes from the device and it goes up into a cloud, and then it's on this platform, and a technician has to grab that and, interpret the results and build those. Well, there's all kinds of different algorithms that can be built into that. And that's why we're partnering with a lot of different academic institutions right now, because they want to harness that data. They want to have access to that full disclosure data at a streamless level. And that's really what we provide. And, one of our unique advantages is that, if the iRhythm patch, for instance, and Bardy for another one, it'll collect data. And then when the patient's done with it, you mail it back to them. Then you got to wait for the data to get there. Then you got to wait for the technician to build the report. It's an unnecessary workflow cog. If you have a syncopal pause right now, Richard, of 5 to 7 seconds, you probably should get some sort of additional care, possibly a pacemaker, to kind of address that. I don't want to wait 3 weeks to worry about you having another pause and your heart stopping again. The doctor should know immediately about that. And I think that's where, our unique solution is poised to kind of do well, is that we're seamlessly streaming data via Bluetooth 5 that Dr. Kyle can make a decision in the moment and not be flooded with an inundated amount of like unnecessary data, false positives here and there, unactionable data. We really only want to bring, actionable data to you. And then also, if you're a clinician or you work at Stanford and you're a research cardiologist, you have access to all of the data nonstop. So you can start doing your own research studies. We can partner with you on different algorithms and machine learning. I mean, we've learned so much about, what really interests doctors and what are the predictive analytics that they want to start solving. And I think that's where we're in a unique position, is that we're not just a patch. If we were just a patch, we're going to go out there and we're going to do okay. And we're going to sell some products and, we're going to be on the market. Cool. But like, we really have a unique opportunity to figure out what doctors really want to do with all their data, and what do they really want to find from all this, and what are the unique problems that we can help them solve. And I think that's the direction we're really wanting to take this company, is where they want it to go.
So big data, big opportunities, enhanced data. Kyle, we were speaking about before the Philips Healthcare project or report, that came out. And so better care for more people. It's all about the problems we face in terms of staff shortages, staff burnout, and ultimately every business, time is money.
Right.
And so clearly the value prop here, as well, as much as that data, is this time saving. So can you tell us a little bit more about how that works in terms of the workflow and how you're saving time?
Yeah, I mean, they're doing tremendous research on those financial metrics, time, cost savings. I mean, healthcare burnout on physicians. All of these things are real things that you don't necessarily think about. You go, oh, I want to figure out how to treat that heart block better. I want to do that. But what about the workflow day-to-day kind of things? And I'm proud that they're actually investing a lot of time and effort into figuring those problems out. And I think from our perspective, accessing data in an easy manner in real time, no matter what the instance is paramount, and where the market is going. Why should anybody have to wait? And where the impact from an outpatient perspective, some doctors may go, well, that's probably too much data. I don't necessarily need to get all that data all the time. Cool, totally understand that. The real impact of having all of that and kind of helping the hospital initiatives is the hospital at home patient. So the patients that are on your floors, the patients that show up in the emergency room for whatever reason and need to get admitted because they have to have some sort of test done to monitor them for a short period of time, or they need to have an unnecessary echo done because they have to wait 12 hours before the next echo tech can come in, or a patient who's an AFib patient who's going to be on a titration of a certain medication. They have to be admitted to the hospital for a few days while they play around with the medications. Those are all things that are incredibly costly to the health system, to the hospital, to the commercial payer, all which can be done at home. If we've got, and these are not the patients that get doctors excited. The doctors don't want to waste a bed with a patient who is just going to sit there and, basically have no vital sign changes or no trends changes or no medication changes over a few days. And they go, cool, we checked the box, this patient's safe, let's get them home. They want to fill that with a patient who could, have a DRG. They want a patient who can do an ablation. They want to fill it with a patient that, they can actually make a sound improvement on in a quick manner. So why don't we triage the majority of these patients from the hospital system and treat them at home in a safe manner? And I think that's what we're achieving.
Yeah. And, Richard, that was Adam, fantastic. And Richard, that was such a great question, because that future health index, I mean, the way it highlighted these shortages and the burnout, and how, we've heard that story from Philips about, how do we keep them out of the hospital? And then how do we create that early detection and diagnosis and monitor from home, to improve telehealth? And Adam, it sounds like that's exactly, what SmartCardia ultimately is doing.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, I think, that's our goal now. Obviously, our FDA approvals for the outpatient side of things, in the UK, India, Switzerland, we're being used as that continuum of care with our CE mark, but it's part of our next, kind of evolution of our product here in America. Those are what our FDA approvals will be seeking, and what our current clinical trials with some of the, prominent academic institutions across the United States are looking at right this second. And we're trying to figure out what they actually want to solve. So that's the cool thing about our technologies. We have a vision for it, and we think we know what the benefit would be. But going to HRS, like Kyle, every doctor you need their opinion on is in one room, right? And you got a bunch of like-minded people who are excited for change. Well, cool. Tell us what you think would be the best way to use this technology. And we left HRS going, cool. We've got a whole different shift here. Let's shift our focus a little bit about this one little subtype of hospital patient and kind of go this avenue. And what are the other metrics that we can gather while we're doing this clinical study, as far as, hospital economics, workload on nurses and staff, all of those kind of things are what we want to achieve.
Cool. And could you speak a little bit to the user interface side? Because that was something else that really came up, right? Because all of these young doctors and physicians, that are entering the workplace, they don't want complex user interfaces, and they want to be able to come in and almost, allow anyone to be able to use this technology. And I even think of the patient side. So, how are you approaching the user interface side of your technology?
Yes, I mean, seamless data is only cool if you have access to it, and if it's accessible on the platform you're using. So I'm, there's so many outside companies that are great, like Pacemate, Vector, Merge. Those are all cool, unique technologies that are harnessing data and implementing it into Epic, and they're doing a great job of it. So with Bardy, iRhythm, those are all portals that are outside of the Epic system. So the doctor, if they want to see the benefit of the product, they actually have to go outside another website. They got to, integrate all those things. And I think a lot of those times it's not something that they own. Sometimes a lot of companies will have to, partner with someone to build that AI or build that portal. And it makes them incredibly less nimble to integrate with health systems. So, which is what is so unique about our platform, is that's what we built first, is we built that Cardiologs-esque kind of software platform that can be used in any manner. So if, let's say, a hospital system even said, hey, Adam, we think 7-lead is garbage, and we think you're garbage, and we think everything about your company's garbage, except for we want to use your software, they could totally just integrate their software into it just for their Holter analysis or their loop recorder analysis. They could integrate their data seamlessly through their Epic or Cerner system in that fashion. So we want to be as nimble as possible for whatever application they want to use this for. Hopefully they think I'm as charming as I think I am, and that our product's as good as I think it is, and they want to use this for the whole kit caboodle. But I'll take what I can get.
Well, it sounds like you've got a bunch of value props to sell there, Adam. I mean, like between the data, the time, the user experience. But I'd love to step back and just, let's talk a little bit now about the background of the company, because you mentioned there you're in 3 different countries, but who are the founders? How did this all come about?
Yeah, so when I left Bardy, I was like, oh, great ride. Now I'm hooked on startups. It was such a great experience. We got sold, and we can talk about that if you guys would like. But, I was like, there's no way in hell I'm ever going to get involved with another patch. There's 75 patches out there. There's no way. And then I met our founder, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess I have to join another patch company. this guy's unbelievable. And the reason why he's so unbelievable is, number one, he's brilliant. These engineers are unbelievable. He's got a double PhD from Stanford, and just did it in such a concise manner, and really advanced his career in a fast way. And he had a startup that had a successful exit early. But really, what gravitated towards me is I didn't realize that he was one of the original engineers at a company called IMEC that created the first sensors for the wireless patch space. That was they were contracted by biotelemetry. So he created with his IMEC team the first sensors that are still being used in the biotelemetry technology now. So when we started chatting about the history of ECG and the history of sensors, I'm like, oh man, he kind of really understands where the problems are. It's not just a physician or someone like myself goes, oh, here's the reimbursement, we should exploit that, or we should do this. It's really at the root of it. What is the problem with the sensors and how we collect the data, and what is capable with the sensors? And he freaking nailed it. And it's unbelievable. And I'm so excited because we haven't even really reached the scope of all the different sensing technologies that are available with our sensor. What other avenues can we achieve? So to me, he's an inspiring guy, and someone that, I'm going to hopefully follow for the rest of my career, because the guy's already got 75 other ideas in his brain that I'm like, oh my God, that's even better than this one. So let's go that route. But I mean, to me, it's all about finding good people, and, if I had any advice to give anybody, it's that, when I was at Zoll, I had a great career at Zoll. You build a great team and you make a bunch of money and you believe in the technology. You go, man, this is it. What else could I want? And then you meet people that are involved with a startup and that are really inspired, and they can build a culture. And it's like, oh, I didn't realize I could have this too. And when you meet really inspiring people that are, share your belief and your passion about just working your tail off for a common goal, it is so much fun. And I'm forever appreciative of my time at Bardi, and what Bardi achieved is, just one of the most impressive quick exits ever. And a lot of that is just because of the people that had a firm belief in trusting one another. I've got one of these, if I go right there, that's a Bardi team picture towards right when we got sold. That was a full sales team picture, and that picture was a heck of a lot smaller about 2.5 years before that picture was taken. But we grew fast, and a lot of it just because people were willing to do things that they wouldn't just for a 9-to-5 job. You really need to find those people that are inspired by you, inspiring each other, and most importantly, I'd say vulnerable enough to admit what their weaknesses are, where they can improve, how they can help strength. You don't need 75 alphas in the room. You need 50 alphas that are also understand what their flaws are, and that are willing to help each other, that are really willing. You guys are probably, there's probably things all the time, Richard, you're like, oh man, I wish I could do this. Kyle steps in seamlessly, right? You guys are a team, you guys are a unit, you guys trust each other wholeheartedly. I mean, I know what you guys have put into this podcast and the sacrifices you are making. You don't do that with just someone goes, oh, I think I'll start a podcast. No, you guys are all in, right? You guys have sacrificed a lot, and that doesn't come with someone you don't trust and love. And I think that's really at the root of it. Our founder Srini is someone that I God willing, I'll work with him for the rest of my life.
Well, it sounds like you're a team that's flying. I mean, again, you've got this already in market in 3 different countries. And so you're based in Switzerland.
Yep.
You've got this great market traction already. Tell us a little bit more now about where you are with the US market.
Yeah. So US has been challenging, as we say. So we finally got our FDA approval for our ECG component side of things. But in our world, if you want to sell your product, I can just go sell it to a hospital system right now and they handle all the billing. But that's such a unique little subset of how our market is done. The Stanfords of the world are not buying cardiac monitors. They're doing what they call split billing, where you run it through an IDTF. So we had to come up with an IDTF strategy. And that unfortunately has taken me way longer than I anticipated. That's a new set of whole headaches. Like we were talking, Richard, before we got on the call, like, hey, how's your week been? I'm like, oh, well, it's not like I won Dr. Kyle. I set up our revenue ops system, or I started integrating our Salesforce into X, Y, and Z, or I solved this unique little contracting problem with an attorney. Those are the small wins that are going along behind the scenes, but we have now successfully acquired our RDTF. So very, very excited about that, which basically means that if you get a monitor slapped on you, that you're going to be a network and that we can bill your insurance and you're not going to get some absorbent out of network bill on your desk, and a lot of hospital systems, if you're not in network with almost every payer in the United States, they're just not going to play with you because they don't want to put their patients at financial jeopardy of, not meeting their copays and having big bills. Those are big concerns, almost as much of a concern to them as the health benefit of a certain product. So that kind of allows us to kind of enter into the market now. So right now we are in full blown hammer down. We found some great people for the logistics side of things. So, but we're needing more. We're going to need more great technicians. We're going to need more operations people, billing people. Those are the, I guess, the operation side of things that we're looking at. And those people are often even more important than the external salespeople. Those are the people that behind the scenes are really dealing with the headaches. Us salespeople get all the glory. We get to go take a doctor out to dinner and, pat ourselves in the back about how great we are. Meanwhile, there's a shipping delay and this chip shortage and all these headaches that startups are dealing with behind the scenes. So, we're in that process now of finding those great people who are willing to just buckle up for this journey.
That's awesome. Yeah, like again, the team is flying and clearly growing. So, kind of excited to like learn more about how people get in touch. We'll touch on that at the very end. But tell us a little bit more about your Bardi story, because again, it's kind of cool the whole journey you've had through medtech.
Yeah, I mean, so when Zoll was great, still great technology, but I mean, I'm not gonna like crap on any companies out there, but I mean, what ultimately led me to leave Zoll was that product was exactly the same as when I got there 8 years prior. That's a lack of innovation. Now it's a great product, and it's still a great product, and it's still saving lives today. Awesome. But they shifted their, as far as instead of advancing the product, they continually innovated in workflow changes and streamlining and revenue, optimization and those kind of things. And maybe things have changed. It's been a while since I've been there, but I was frustrated with, every doctor I talked to saying, hey, it'd be really cool, but here's some of the problems we need to solve. And they were the only player on the market, and they didn't innovate like I thought they should. And it led me to be frustrated internally. Why are we limiting ourselves? Why are we not listening to our physician peers? Why, when we can innovate, why aren't we? And I know that now that I've had more elevated executive roles and such, I see the other side of it as well. There's a significant impact of costs and all those kind of things. But when I met the folks at Bardi, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what it is. An innovative product with people that are willing to innovate a product along the way, and then be inspired by people that are going to run through brick walls to get to that goal. And the first person I met was Ken Nelson. Kyle, I know you know Ken really well. Ken's involved with our company as a he's on our US board here, and a strong, confident and advisor of me personally, someone I talk to dang near every day. But I mean, he was on the early commercialization efforts of iRhythm, and he was the COO or CEO, I forget what his CCO of biotelemetry. Then he was our chief commercial officer under Dr. Bardi at Bardi. And you realize these people are they've got their finger on the pulse, and they're willing to do anything to make this company a success. And if you surround yourself with people that are like-minded, he had another VP of sales that I love, Bobby Cockrell was there as well. Like people that will, if you get there and Richard, I've got this big meeting and it's in Orlando, but no problem. I'm flying to Orlando for you. I'll take the red eye immediately. If you can find those people, and then you find a Dr. Bardi type, Dr. Bardi is, such a brilliant guy. I mean, not only from his electrophysiology background as a practicing doctor, but then, starting Cameron Health and the subcutaneous ICD, and then starting Bardi Technology with his, unfortunate background with his wife passing, and, the formulation of that company is, are you inspired? And are you inspired by the people that you work with? And the answer was a resounding yes. I mean, no brainer. You get there and you're like, oh man, okay, what else can I do to help? Even outside of sales, what can I do? Do you need me in the home office every week? I'll come in there and we'll do it's roll up your sleeves mentality. And eventually that product went from us, having a really small sales team of about 10 or so when I got there. When I left, I believe we had upwards of 65 reps, and saw a successful acquisition from Hillrom and Baxter for, with the earnouts, almost $500 million. So, I mean, a tremendous success, and learned so much along the way. And, a lot of the things that Bardi did along the way, we're kind of mimicking those steps, getting involved with accelerator programs. So we're in the HeartX MedAxiom accelerator program, which has been a huge benefit for us. We're also involved with MedTech Innovator. MedTech Innovator, if you guys are familiar with it, but it's, you know, basically a cohort of getting a lot of startups together so they can scale and grow at the same pace and utilize resources together. And they also have a fund that helps, you know, get you in contact with VCs and stuff. And those are things that are all pretty new to me, but I'm like so happy to have the opportunity to do. And, you know, if I had any words of wisdom for any of the salespeople out there, is that, you know, it wasn't that long ago that I just thought I was a sales rep and I was totally stoked with my life of being a sales rep for the rest of your life. And then you realize, oh man, you get an opportunity. And I became a manager and I'm like, oh, this is mind blown. Oh man, I can have the same feeling of a success, but I can also transfer that success and helping others achieve that success. And you're like, man, this is the best. And you're like, can't ever top this. And then you go, oh wow, but then I can also mind blown. I can be part of a startup that inspires you and you feel like you have an impact and you can help develop and shape healthcare. And then you realize that there's just so much more out there. And I don't know what the future is for me, but I'm super stoked about it. And, you know, I just know that I'm going to continue to surround myself with really good people. And if anybody's out there listening to the podcast and you want to be surrounded by good people, even if I'm not the guy, hopefully put you in contact with the right guy, but hope I am the guy.
Adam, that's awesome, man. Hey, I want to talk now about the future here for SmartCardia. And I'm really curious because you mentioned an FDA approval that you've already received.
Yep.
That looks like it was about November, I think, 2023.
Yep.
So now, as you look to access the U.S. market, what are you seeing? You know, what are you forecasting for big future milestones here over the next, say, 6 to 18 months?
Yeah, so I think those milestones have shifted a little bit. So we've got our FDA approval for the cardiac side of what we're doing. So we can just go out there and be an event, you know, extended Holter, MCT, and play in that sand and kick butt, and we know we're going to do that. However, we also need to start thinking of the evolution of our products. So we talked about hospital at home, the other vital signs. So those are the FDA submissions we're completing right now. So that'll be the additional add-ons that we can add on and diversify our product. But I think when we look at what's the future of our company, you know, you got to think about what is the real future. Is the future just being profitable and just living on forever? Is the future an exit? You know, we've had a lot of tire kickers, if you will. You know, we've had a couple of due diligence efforts where, you know, in our eyes, you know, why go now? You know, why sell for what we can sell now when we can, you know, invest a little bit more and achieve greatness? And I think that's where we are right now. And when we talk to VCs, and we've got a pipeline of VCs that we're you know, targeting for our next fundraise, you know, all of them have explained what those milestones should be if you want to achieve success, or if you want to get, you know, $20-30 million of your next run. Here's what we think you need to achieve. And a lot of those are proving that your business model works, proving that your product can help you achieve those business models, and also doing it so at notable institutions. And, you know, I think at Barty early on, you know, they grew super fast, right? But they had a couple of limitations that really hindered us from going out and winning the Stanfords of the world, winning the Harvards of the world. And, you know, I don't want to speculate on why that is, but I think I've solved a lot of those problems. And I think one of those main problems is getting outside KOLs involved with the product. So we've got Dr. Jag Singh from Harvard Mass General, who's their director of electrophysiology, former HRS president, just a super charismatic guy who's super knowledgeable about the industry. He's our chief medical advisor, and you know, his network, and we're getting other physicians involved and really asking them how to shape our company, and then also asking them what clinical trials they think we should accomplish to get to where we want to win. Because if we're going to be successful and we want to raise money, or we want to have a successful exit, you know, we can't just go and sell to Dr. Kyle and Dr. Richard and think that our product's the bomb. We need to win IDNs. We need to prove to the Kaisers of the world that we have an impact. So how do we do that? So that's what we're working out now, is, you know, making sure that we have those, you know, let's say 10 key academic institutions that not only from a commercialization standpoint are profitable and can show that we're generating revenue, but just from a marketing perspective, to say that you've won some of these major institutions, and you can list off the 10 to 12 EPs that every single EP in the world knows. That's such a value add in your pocket, you know. Sure. and that's where we're at now, is that making sure that we'd rather risk, you know, going slower to market and not winning the mom and pops. So that way we can make sure that we're nailing everything we are for a hospital system and IDN.
You know, that's really interesting as a salesperson. I will say that that's definitely that enterprise state of mind. You
Yep.
know, it's like you can go after these small, little sales, but they're not going to move the needle. Like an enterprise deal will be. And that, we all know it takes it's a much longer road, and it takes a lot more effort and commitment. Yeah, so it makes a lot of sense that strategy is sounds pretty spot on. What about, I guess, like something also that I'm kind of curious about and that I really want to confirm for the audience is, I guess, what is the key differentiating factor? As you guys get these additional approvals, what is that key differentiating factor that's going to allow you to get into the Stanfords and the Harvards, like you mentioned, as you were just talking moments ago? What is that, differentiating factor against over, the other products in the market, if we could really sum that up?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's really like our vital signs and our next level of submission for, SpO2, respiration, prolonged QT. Those are things that are the key things that are gonna, outside of the 7 lead. I mean, number one, we feel like we have enough, and we already have many academic institutions that are like, boom, the second you say that we can launch this, we're gonna launch. So that's great. But really, to really make the splash and the like broad impact that we want, that next level of FDA submission for our remote patient monitoring is what's gonna do that. And I think, when you talk about, Kyle, not hitting your singles, the luxury of trying to hit that enterprise sale, you hit your home runs. That also, not everybody has that luxury. I am incredibly fortunate that we have super strong investment backing right now, where they have the same vision we have. That yes, they want to win, but sometimes when the runway gets shorter, when that, like, how long can you go on these existing funds? Sometimes everyone starts stressing, oh man, we need to generate revenue right now. And sometimes that makes you sacrifice your goal, right? So you start giving up some of those long-term plays. And it happens with us sales reps all the time. We go, shoot, I still got a quota. Yep. Dang, okay, well, all right, well, I need to hit some singles immediately. Bam, 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 bam. Yeah. Now all of a sudden you don't realize for 2 months you've been spinning your wheels with these little mom and pop shops, and you've lost the goal and maybe missed a few key metrics on hitting a home run. And it's tough, and a lot of that is, we want to make sure that we don't lose vision of that I guess, distraction of the
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine too, like the communication between your team and your stakeholders and investors. I mean, especially as you're going for these bigger opportunities, I mean, that has to be just, so spot on and so clear and
Yep.
easy for them to understand, and they have to see that long game, right?
Yep.
So no, it makes a ton of sense. Very relatable, again, as a salesperson.
And we've been tremendously lucky with our investment team. So we've got, like, one of our main investors, this woman, Helen. She is unbelievable, and not only is she just a very knowledgeable med tech investor, but on top of that, she's just a good connector of people, and she is just an inspiring person. And ultimately, we hold calls, like sales calls now with, I'm the only US sales lead here, but, with our India, UK, Switzerland, we're all getting on the horn quite often and sharing success, all these kind of things, and sharing the pitfalls and talking about these struggles and talking about the next 18 months and talking about the next 5 years. And that shared vision and trust is something that I didn't realize was going to be such a luxury, but it is awesome to be able to pick up the phone right away and talk to your main investor, and share, hey, here's the struggle I'm dealing with. Okay, cool. I mean, we had a couple of unique challenges when acquiring our IDTF for the last few months. And she goes, no problem. I'm calling her right away. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't think of that as a solution. I wasn't going to ask you that, but sweet. Thank you.
Hey, Adam, well, you've mentioned this word impact a couple of times, and obviously that's music to our ears, and clearly that's what this podcast is all about. And all through this, I feel like, again, we talk about being informed and inspired through these conversations, and I feel like that. Like, you've been buzzing through this whole talk, and it's like left me super energized. I wonder now, as we kind of like turn the corner and just like some final reflection, like for a salesperson like you and somebody who's maybe joining your team, like what would be some advice you'd want to impart with maybe an early stage salesperson or even mid-career salesperson?
I mean, what do you want out of your life? That's really it. I mean, I realized at some point that I was going to make financially between X and Y for probably the rest of my career. You know, there's that, you realize what your industry's paying and you're in cardiac. So here it is. And I'm not in the OR. So here's what I'm making. And that's cool. And if you're okay with that, that's cool. Some people need that, you know, like there's a lot of people that I met through the Hillrom Baxter transaction that they would come up to me, oh, you're going to love it here. I've been in my role for 20 years and they're proud of that. Cool. Good for you. That's not for me. Like that turned me off tremendously, you know? So if you really are that person that wants to advance themselves, that wants to advance their career, that really wants to like learn and, you know, make an impact. I mean, I still think about the honor it is that I get to talk to doctors, that I get to like literally sit with peers and talk about the way they want to take the health industry or things that they want to explore or ways that they, I mean, holy cow, I didn't go to medical school. You know, I struggled through colleges like everybody else did, you know, and it's like, what an absolute honor. And there's so much more out there if you still just remain humble and vulnerable to try new things. So if you want more, there is more out there. And it's not about just saying, hey, I want to be promoted. I want to be promoted. We'll show it. You know, actually live your life that way and be willing to take some risks. I mean, the Barty thing on paper, thank God my wife is trusting of me because it was, on paper, it was stupid. It was a really stupid move initially. You know, I was making way more money at Zoll and life was good. And my work-life balance was like the cakewalk. You know, it was great. I mean, some field ride here and there, minimal travel. My region was really small. And then they go, hey, now you're going to have Barty. You're going to have almost the entire United States. You're going to make way less. You might get some equity. We don't know what that equity might be. And we don't know how long this is going to be. And you're going to be on a plane at least 4 nights a week. You're like, oh, that on paper, that doesn't sound like a good deal. But if you really believe in the product and you believe in yourself and you believe in the people that you surround yourself with, you know, it makes those long flights when you're all alone in an airport. It makes all those long days, you know, flying to somewhere you've never been, doing something you've never done. It makes it a lot easier knowing you've got the support. So I would just, you know, try to be inspired by the people you're around. And if you are, those opportunities are going to continue to present themselves.
Amazing. Such great advice. Well, you've clearly surfed that wave pretty well. And I think that what you said before about there are so many different paths to like creating impacts and helping in healthcare. And so I would think that was really great advice that you don't have to be that frontline healthcare professional, but clearly within sales, you can make a difference. So yeah, super awesome, Adam.
Well, I really appreciate you guys' time. And, you know, this has been super fun. You guys are killing it with the podcast. And thanks for letting somebody who isn't a CEO, founder, engineer, doctor on, you know, just a dude trying to make an impact.
You're a dude with a ton of amazing experiences, and that's made massive contributions to the medtech industry, Adam. So the pleasure is really all ours. How do folks get in touch with you?
LinkedIn's the easiest way. I mean, it's our Facebook, you know, so it's hit me up on there. You know, if I say my cell phone number right now, no one's going to remember it or jot it down. You know, my Google SmartCardia and you'll find me. And love conversations, love meeting new people, love meeting people that are inspired, even if this isn't a good fit for them and they simply want to talk to me or they think that there's something cool that me or SmartCardia might be interested. You know, that's what our lives are about. I mean, hell, Kyle, I didn't know you at all, you know, and I saw you running around and Ken goes, hey, there's Kyle. And I'm like, oh, who's Kyle? And I saw you bump up. You're like, what's up, bros? And I was like, oh, okay, now we're best friends, you know, and here we are. So
that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. So if you're, you know, I love those kind of conversations. So please reach out on LinkedIn.
Awesome, Adam. Well, ladies and gentlemen, another huge thank you to Adam Kirchgessner, VP of Sales at SmartCardia. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of the MedTech Impact Podcast. I'm Kyle Cruz.
And I'm Richard Meiklejohn. Until next time, keep innovating.